Good evening and welcome to Give Me a Break. I'm Jonathan Carmody. Could social media be linked to mental health and education? Well, that's what one mother says, and one expert counsel will join me tonight. One says that it's a mental health problem, while the other says she's setting out strict limits. So what more can be done with social media in our education system? Here's Alexis Scott.
Whether it's scrolling, snapping, or streaming, social media is woven into daily life for students. But Corpus Christi Independent School District says it's time to crack down. They've joined a nationwide lawsuit against companies like Snapchat, Meta, and TikTok, claiming they've designed platforms that are addictive and dangerous to kids' mental health.
Unfortunately, they already know how detrimental all of this is for our kids.
Tessa Stuckey is a mom of 4, licensed counselor, and founder of Look Up Nonprofit. She helps families restore balance and boundaries in a digital world. She limits screen time in her own household and says the data is clear. More screen time can turn into more mental health struggles.
They are intentionally making things more addicting so that kids get addicted or they are exposed to harmful content. There's cyberbullying, predators, viral trends that are extremely dangerous.
That lawsuit, filed exactly 1 year ago, claiming these platforms knew the risks, especially with young users, but prioritized profit over safety. CCISD and other districts pointing to a lack of safeguards to keep harmful content away from kids. The district says they've had to step in, spending more time and resources helping students cope with anxiety, depression, and other behavioral issues.
They need to really step it up. If they are going to be these tech moguls, then why not use it for good?
Belkis Clark Mitchum has 2 daughters, 4 and 8 years old. She has noticed significant changes, especially with her 8-year-old, when using social media and technology.
Technology grooms our kids in ways that's a little bit scary. I've seen it impact their focus. When she's on the screen more, there's less creativity.
Mitchum has limited screen time for her girls to about 2 hours, but that's only when they finish their schoolwork. She says social media has a way of preventing children from learning basic life skills.
I don't demonize technology, like I said, but I don't think we ought to let it hijack our lives at all and the lives of our kids. And it runs a very high risk of doing that.
Both Stuckey and Mitchum say these social media giants should be held accountable for the harm they're imposing on the kids that use them. Chris 6 News reached out to CCISD for an interview, but the district declined to comment. Although CCISD joins dozens of other schools in this lawsuit, many say the solution starts at home. For more details on how to set screen time limits with your family, go to christv.com. In downtown, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Alexis Scott, Chris 6 News.
And that's what we're going to do in just a minute. But first things first, because let me tell you something. I limit my screen time. My nephew doesn't have a cell phone or social media, but you have to talk to your child about setting screen time. Create curfews, create bedtimes. And believe me, throughout the years, we've been focusing in on social media and how it's linked to education in good ways and bad ways. The good ways is just educational purposes. Like you want to watch an educational video. That's why schools are having cell phone policies put in place, so that way they want to be less distracted in the educational process. Like, if it was an emergency in the school, would contact the parents. That's how, back then it wasn't like this, If you got caught using your phone in class, you'd be told to put it up. Or the teacher would take it up, and you had to pay a fine. $15. You had to pay $15 to get your phone back. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that more a bit later. But right now, there's another thing I want to bring up. This month is Autism Awareness Month. And I was on my Instagram. Like always, to check out my social media. And I came across a little video about, this was viewed on TikTok millions of times. Take a look.
Out. Oh, okay, right here. I want my child. He is calm. Where's my child? Oh, okay, right here. I want my child. He is calm. I would like my child. I've talked to Chief Vasquez. I am recording this right now. This is my child. He has special needs. They are refusing to let him out until they saw I was recording. Is how you treat my kid too, I bet. Anthony, come on. What is wrong? You're not in trouble. You're gonna come with me, and we're gonna talk. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, you didn't do anything. Come here. You and I are gonna talk. I know they did. You and I are gonna talk, and you're gonna tell me exactly what happened. Because I guarantee you were probably telling them you were mad. And it probably took another 40 minutes before anyone listened to you. Come on, let's go. You're gonna come home with me and G-Pop. Let's go. Where's Miss Lehman? Because I don't want to talk to anyone but her. Okay, so the principal again is not here willing to talk to the mother of this child. Where's my son's stuff? How am I going to find out what really happened? Am I going to see the camera? Am I going to get documentation of a report? How am I going to know what really happened today? No information from admin once again. Yes. Come on. I know. Yep.
We'll probably look at that article, and later on we're going to see a Project Baltimore story that has to do with the superintendent, like we talked about on Monday. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now, this story was posted all over the news. It was posted on Reddit.com. This shows that a school calls the police on an autistic child, handcuffed and isolating him in a room and trying to refuse release to him on his guardian. The mom got upset about this, and this was all posted on TikTok. It went viral on TikTok. Now, if you went on TikTok and saw what happened, you would have seen the whole story. This happened on January 25th. The student who has autism was reportedly provoked by a paraprofessional into eloping from his classroom. This led to confrontation with the SRO, who allegedly threw the student against the wall and handcuffed him. The officer admitted to not knowing how to properly interact with disabled teens. The student was then placed in a seclusion room and locked in with a key, a practice that raises serious ethical and legal concerns. Despite the lack of harm or danger posed by the student, the DA's office has decided to press one felony assault charge and 4 misdemeanor charges against him. This decision was met with a significant backlash, especially considering the student's mental health and trauma and the bruises on his arm from the handcuffs. The officer involved did not activate his body camera, which is a legal requirement in Colorado, further pending the case. And there's more articles. This happening, there's like related articles. Like, the legal proceedings continue. The focus remains on ensuring that such incidents do not occur. Advocacy groups and concerned citizens are pushing for comprehensive policy changes to ensure that students with special needs receive the support and understanding they deserve. This is a search to start reminding the importance of empathy, proper and systemic reforms in creating a safe and inclusive environment for all students. The judge says Colorado Springs Area School District violated federal law with special education students' care. School districts accused of refusing accommodation for the child's special needs, and now the state is investigating D20 special education programs. It was all over TikTok. All over TikTok. I'm telling you right now, you can look up this story and it won't even make a difference on how you feel. This is from the username It's Gone Viral. It was all over TikTok. And now, believe me, I have autism, I'm special needs, and believe me, if someone were to do that to me as a child, my parents would be notified, like, what's going on. And if something like this were to open. You know what? Let's take another look at the video. Because there's something. Because on that video, there's something we might have missed. Let's watch the whole thing again.
Child.
Oh, okay, teacher. I want my child. He is calm.
Where's my child?
Oh, okay, teacher. I want my child.
He is calm. I would like my child. I talked to Chief Vasquez. I am recording this right now. This is my child. He has special needs. They are refusing to let him out until they saw I was recording. Is how you treat my kid too, I bet. What is wrong? You're not in trouble. You're gonna come with me, and we're gonna talk. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, you didn't do anything. Come here. You and I are gonna talk.
The police have just put shades up me.
I know they did.
I could have got arrested for that. What?
You and I are gonna talk, and you're gonna tell me exactly what happened. Because I guarantee you were probably telling them you were mad. And it probably took another 40 minutes before anyone listened to you. Come on. Let's go.
Wait, what you say?
You're gonna come home with me and G-Pop. Let's go. Where's Miss Lehman? Because I don't want to talk to anyone but her. Okay, so the principal again is not here willing to talk to the mother of this child. Where's my son's stuff? How am I gonna find out what really happened? Am I gonna see the camera? Am I gonna get documentation of a report? How am I gonna know what really happened today? No information from admin once again.
We're going home.
Yes.
Yeah,
Come on. I know.
you gonna report this to the news?
Yep.
We have some breaking news right now of an autistic child. Now, this was probably all over the news. We saw this video first time and the second time. You know why we do it the second time? There's something we might have missed. That was because the mother who said, like, oh, the principal, she was in a meeting. You know, here's the thing though. If the assistant or secretary was like, hey, you know, the principal's at a meeting, you don't go out of your way to say, well, I'm going to accuse the principal of not helping out my child because she was at a meeting. No, you have to wait. You want to take your child home, and as a parent, you need to talk to the principal. Schedule a meeting with the principal. Call them over the phone and specifically say, like, hey, we have an incident following this. I would like to schedule a meeting with you. It's like, yeah, of course. What time you want to schedule? You would pick a day. We would sit down. It'd be the mom, the child, and the principal, and the resource officer saying, okay, what's going on? We would see the video. Don't go out of your way to report this to the news. You need to talk to the principal and you need to talk to the principal. Don't go out of your way to say, oh, they're not going to deal with anything about it. I'm going to deal with things myself. Even if you're angry at something, even if you're angry at something like this, you don't go out of your way to say, okay, I'm really pissed off right now. I'm going to report this to the news. I don't care what the principal says. Even if you don't agree with what's going on, you can't take it upon yourself to go be in control and say, okay, I'm pissed off, I'm ready, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to attack him with words, and I'm going to make him listen to me. This was from about, I don't know when. This was almost a year ago. And believe me, you know, everybody, and it breaks my heart. If you got a child who's special needs, there are ways is this child on medication? Do they take his medication? I mean, seclusion rooms have questions about, you know, is it legal for something like this to happen, you know? Probably won't know. Is it probably legal for somebody to live outside the county and become superintendent? That's the growing question. Next, we're going back to Baltimore County and the superintendent, who is now being investigated by the Baltimore County school system into why she's not living in Baltimore County, but she's living outside Baltimore County. There's more to the story. Stay with us. everybody in Baltimore County wants an explanation into the superintendent of that superintendent who's supposedly living in Baltimore County, which she isn't. If you were here on Monday, we focused in on Project Baltimore. We focused in on a Project Baltimore story about a superintendent who's living outside of who's superintendent of Baltimore County. But investigations have found that she is living outside of Baltimore County. We've also heard that the school system has defended the superintendent, saying she's not required to be doing this, that, and the third. It's her option. She's not paying her utilities, she's not doing this, she's not doing that. It's like this, you know? It's like this. You don't have to do this, we will defend you anyway. But now there's more to the story than meets the eye. Tonight, more details into the superintendent's controversy as we continue to look into the story. And legal documentation may be obtained. But is it going to shed some light onto why this superintendent's not living within the district? Here's Chris Papps.
Employment contracts for school superintendents are important. They lay the groundwork for how your tax dollars are spent, while creating a framework for how school leaders operate. With that in mind, Project Baltimore for weeks has been trying to obtain documents regarding potential violations of Superintendent Dr. Miriam Rogers' contract. But some of those documents we have not been able to obtain, and we just found out it's because they don't exist. This email from Baltimore County Board of Education member Julie Henn to Project Baltimore is damning. We received this message in response to an email we sent every board member requesting documents related to approvals and expenses connected to Superintendent Dr. Miriam Rogers' relocation to Baltimore County. Henn's email states, the board neither received nor approved a request to extend the deadline for the superintendent to establish residency. Likewise, we neither received nor approved any expenses or estimates for expenses associated with the superintendent's relocation. Board members Felicia Stilusky and Maggie Domanowski also emailed Fox 45 stating the same thing. Based off these emails, it appears 2 terms of Dr. Rogers' contract were violated.
My commitment remains focused to Baltimore County Public Schools.
Here are the potential violations. Violation number 1. According to Rogers' contract, the board requires that the superintendent live in Baltimore County, Maryland, and that she shall relocate to Baltimore County within 1 year of beginning her term, unless extended by the board in writing. Rogers became superintendent in July of 2023.
Our core purpose is centered on increasing achievement for all students.
And was supposed to be residing in Baltimore County by July of 2024. But she was not. The school system says Rogers completed her move in September of 2024. On April 8th, 2 weeks ago,
while we encourage public input,
during a Board of Education meeting, Board Chair Jane Lichter said this concerning Rogers.
she verbally requested an extension from then board leadership. Board leadership approved the request.
But Rogers' contract clearly states any residency extension must be approved by the board in writing. On April 11th, Project Baltimore filed a public records request for that written approval. BCPS replied on Wednesday afternoon, there are no responsive records. In other words, it does not exist, which is a violation of the superintendent's contract. Potential violation number 2. According to Dr. Rogers' contract, prior to relocating to Baltimore County, the superintendent shall provide the board with estimates from 2 moving companies, and the board agrees to reimburse the superintendent for the amount of the lower estimate, up to $15,000. These are those moving expenses, obtained by Fox 45 also from a public records request. During the April 8th board meeting, Lichter said the then board chair approved the expense.
and the board chair signed the necessary expense documentation associated with her relocation.
But remember, Hen's email said the board neither received nor approved any expenses or estimates for expenses. And Roger's contract says she shall provide the board with 2 estimates. It does not appear that happened. It does now appear there were violations involving Dr. Rogers' contract. So now the question becomes, who's responsible? Is it the school board or is it the superintendent? We will stay on this story in the coming days. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Now, where do I stand on this? Well, here's the thing, though. The superintendent and the school board. We have the superintendent violating her contract, while we have... here's 2 sides here, sorry. Here's 2 sides. On one side, we have the school board, while on the other side, we have the superintendent. The superintendent violating her contract, while the board is defending the superintendent. It's like a little slap on the wrist, you know. You can't defend the superintendent, you know. They got to have someone they can trust. And if you live outside the district, that's a violation of your contract. If you're going to say, okay, I'm going to get some movers up here, and if you're going to sit, before you become superintendent, you got to sit there and say, hey, can we hold off on this until I move into project, until I move to this location where I'm going to be superintendent? And they would give you some time, like, yes, but you got to present it in writing according to the contract. It's a 5-page contract that you got to abide by. If you're the superintendent, there's rules that you have to abide by. There's a contract. You sign that contract, you have to abide by it. You cannot be having chair board members defending you, saying, hey, she's not required to do this, she's not required to do that. So let's break down these violations. Starting with the first violation.
Contract.
The board requires the superintendent live in Baltimore County, Maryland, and that she shall be located in Baltimore County within 1 year of beginning her term. So she was superintendent in 2023. She was supposed to be signed last year after she didn't move in, but she had 12 months to do that. But what was she doing? Not a damn thing. You know? That's a violation. Next, violation 2. Then we're on the second violation.
County.
The superintendent shall provide the board with estimates from 2 moving companies, and the board agrees to reimburse the superintendent for the amount of the lower estimate to $15,000. Well, who are the liars? The board of Education sitting there saying we don't have it, but we do. But they have the public records request, so the school board's lying, saying we don't have it, or it must have been a misunderstanding. It's a 5-page contract. If you're the superintendent, there's a contract that you have. It's a 5-page contract that you got to abide by. If you're given the contract, you do not skim through it and go. You got to read it and recognize it. Write down key words that you have questions. If you got questions about the contract, you got to talk to somebody. You don't skim through it and go, okay, there you go. Like, I get that people are in a hurry here, but you cannot be you cannot skim through this like a book. This isn't a book. If you decide to become superintendent, what you have to do is abide by the contract and be a part of your community. And believe me, if I was superintendent, then I would abide by the contract that was given to me. I would read through it. I would have a copy of that contract in my hand. Before I would sign, I would ask, may I please after I sign it, can you please give me a copy of the contract? That way I can look it over. They would tell me, yeah, sure, we can do that. Then it would send me a copy, and if I made a mistake, I would tell the board president saying, Madam President, I believe I broke my contract. I violated this rule here, saying this, that, and the third. And then the superintendent, the board president had two choices. Either one, she'd be like, hey, it's okay, we're gonna let it slide. Or two, she'd be like, I'm very disappointed in you. This is strike one. Don't let it happen again. Second time, it'd either be, it's alright, or that's your second strike. One more and then you're done. Third time, same thing. Third strike, you're out of here. Hold a board meeting, it's like, we call for suspension with pay of the superintendent, blah, blah, blah. Superintendent John McCarney until this, that, and the third.
Hear that happen?
But this is the superintendent contract. This was last year. Last year, June 2023. That was last year. We're going to 2 years of this contract here. And believe me, if I was in the superintendent's shoes, I would be moving to Baltimore County right before I become superintendent. Not right before. Not the day of. Not the day after. Not 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20, 20, 22, 24, 67. Not after 30, 60, 90, 100 days. Not after 2 years. I would do it right away. Right before the meeting. I would just request the board to say, hey, can I have some time because I'm moving into Baltimore County. Get it in writing, submit to them, and have them approve it like that. Then you would have some time to talk to some movers and get it done that fast. That way, you could talk to them and before that $15,000 thing. But if it's not part of that contract, then okay, you're one step ahead. Believe me, there are procedures and there are rules. It seems to me that this person right here did not abide by the contract. She just wanted to do whatever she wanted to do like it was her job. Bosses make decisions, not the superintendent. It's not your job. You cannot police yourself to go, okay, I made a mistake. It may not be my saying, but believe me, it is what's going on here that just really, would be concerned about the safety, not just be concerned about the Baltimore County community. So we'll look into this and we'll see what happens. When we come back, how do you limit your child's social media time during school hours? And when is it a good time or a bad time to use social media? Stay with us. Earlier in tonight's broadcast, we talked about limiting your child's social media use. We've talked with a mother, and we also talked with, not only that, we also talked with the founder of Lookup. In 2015, she wrote a book called For the Sake of the Youth, A Therapist's Perspective on Raising Your Family in Today's Culture. The book says she shows what she learned about today's youth and current culture. Then in 2022, Stuckley created Lookup. And for those who don't know what Lookup is, it's a non-profit organization. You can feel free to look this up online. It's a non-profit organization. Just look at projectlkup.org, a non-profit organization with the mission to empower families and youth to rise above the harms of screen and social media culture by fostering real-life connection and emotional resilience and mental well-being. Through education, conversation, and community building, we help shift today's digital habits toward a healthier, more connected future. We're not throwing them under the bus. This is a good nonprofit organization that can really help parents who are concerned about their child's social media use and what to do. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And there are resources. There are parent programs. There's a lot of stuff. Look up ways here. You can find non-profit organizations. There we go. That's what they're talking about. And there's newsletters. There are resources that you can look up here. That's projectlcamp.org. It's a nonprofit organization, and they have programs. And it's really what you can use. And if I believe, here's some tips for you. Limit your child's social media use by no more than 2 hours or by 1 hour. Limit your child's social media use. Or here's a better one. Here's something better. Don't have your child sign up for social media accounts under the age of 13. All these people years ago create Facebook. They pretend to be like 15, 16 years old when they're 13. That's a big no-no. Parents, if your child has social media, monitor what he or she is posting on social media. Talk with your child about the dangers of what you post. And here's the thing also. If you ask your mom and dad, if your child asks you, hey, can I have social media? And you say, no, sweetie, you can't have that social media. You need to lay down your ground, and you gotta lay down your ground. And if your child says, well, my other friends are doing it. If your friends told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? My friends wouldn't. If it was your child's idea to create a social media account, you listen to your friends, you think that your parents, they tell you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? I didn't think so. It's offline. And it's really all about it. I would have loved to have the creator of this nonprofit organization come on, give me a break to explain what can we do. If I had a special guest, then this would be it. Probably the next GMB, if I can get in contact with this person, what we can do a Zoom session right on this screen, and if for people out there, you got some questions that you like to ask, save your questions. And we'll help answer your questions. And this was brought on by a lawsuit last year.
Limits screen time in her own household and says the data is clear. More screen time can turn into more mental health struggles.
They are intentionally making things more addicting so that kids get addicted.
Like, everybody's addicted to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So everyone's addicted to these social medias. And, it's affecting their education. And schools often use social media. They use Facebook, Twitter, TikTok for education, for their own content. When clearly it shouldn't be used for educational purposes. And I really do mean educational. That doesn't mean educational means something educational. But clearly, no one knows the term educational. Like, if you're focused on math, it has to be related to math. It has to be focused on English class. It has to be related to English. If you're focusing on science, as related to science, history, etc. Social media cannot be used to. I mean, that's what education is all about. You go to school 6 hours, 7 hours. And what do I believe? We need to bring back cell phone policies. If you're a longtime fan of Give Me a Break, we focus in on cell phone policies. Policies that would even make parents believe, like, what if it was an emergency? And state lawmakers are jumping on the bandwagon to say, okay, we need to make a law which says that no students should be allowed on their phones. Which is exactly right. And when I was a kid growing up, we were not allowed to use our phones. Unless it required us to use a calculator. We had to ask our teacher if it was okay. And if it wasn't okay, then alright. If you say no, then no. Don't listen to music. It has to be with the teacher's consent. Teachers not give you consent, you can't do it. But if you were caught using your phone, teacher would take it up, and you would not get it back to you after the end of the school day or after class. Now, if it was something different, they would turn it into the office, and you or your parents would pay $15 to get it back. Because they're trying to limit cell phone use, and that was back then. Nowadays, we deal with technology, because people used to cheat. But 10 years ago, Fob Bluff ISD created BYOD, which means you're allowed to use your phone. But then when the data showed up, it got changed to where you're allowed to use your phone if the teacher gives you permission. No permission for your teacher, can't use your phone. And if you need to call your parents, then you call them from the school phone. That's how it was. That's how it was back then. I mean, there are rules that you gotta abide by. If you don't follow the rules, you don't have to follow the rules. If you don't, there's consequences for your actions. So that can really lead you to believe, what goes on. Alright. Still to come, are you considering returning to school? Well, you're about to meet a GED graduate from Nova Card that says she is going back to school. And she's sharing her experience with Stephanie Molina. Please stay with us. Are you thinking about going back to school? What if you already got a GED and you want to get your regular high school diploma? We focus in on the GED system. If you don't know what a GED is, the GED is General Educational Development. It's a system where if you don't get your high school diploma, the alternative is you go get your GED. In the job market, it would put you on any equal level than ex-con, except the ones who finish high school. Because there's a difference between a GED and a diploma. A diploma is a requirement, while a GED is something else. If you want to get your GED, you gotta pay it. You gotta pay up and complete a test. And if you fail that test, you don't get your GED. You pass the test, you get your GED diploma. And there are places where you can get your GED. So you can just go to a website about GED, and then you can get and then you can also take your GED online. It's not like a diploma. You can't, there's no GED reunion, no GED cap and gown, no GED yearbook. I mean, the whole reason why kids want to get their GED and not want to go to school is because of bullying, or the teacher hates my child. That's the whole reason why. But for this one person that you're about to meet, she was in Del Mar, she wanted to get her GED. You're about to hear her experience and what was it like. What was her experience, and what was it like for her getting her GED? Here's Stephanie Molina.
No one else can take it away from you. No one can take your GED away from you, ever.
19-year-old Emma Grace Barrientos is GED graduate. She first stopped going to school back in 2022 when she was 16 years old.
I was a pretty insecure, shy girl, and I always kept to my own, and I was always scared of being bullied.
Barrientos tells me she didn't plan one day to drop out of high school, but over time, the abscesses started piling up, which forced her to stop going. Fast forward a few years, and Barrientos tells me she realized she couldn't continue living like that forever.
I don't want to depend on other people. I want to be independent and have a job, and the only way to really get that is to have a GED or a diploma.
Barrientos' dad brought up the idea of her taking the GED.
I think a lot of times students are afraid that they're either going to have to pay for the services that they're receiving, or they believe that they're not going to be able to get into a class.
Jennifer Howard is the assistant director of the ESL program at Del Mar College. The school has a new grant-funded program to help students interested in going back to school. Since October 2024, 260 students have enrolled the program and 8 have earned their GED.
We also have scholarships to help you pay for your GED test. And then, of course, all of our classes are free.
Each Tuesday, she says students interested in going back to school can stop by the Ventures Business Building.
Sometimes people are worried about time. Do I have time to study? Do I have time to do this? And even incorporating just maybe set a timer for 30 minutes and read a chapter from a book. That will help.
Barrientos started her journey in March 2023 and passed the GED exam nearly 6 months later.
I put a lot of information online to help those of you considering going back to school. You can click onto ChrisTV.com. At Del Mar College, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Stephanie Molina, Chris 6 News.
Which we're going to do right now. And, like I talked about, not only could you take a GED here, you can also take your GED online. Just look up GED online in the search engine of your choice. Google, Firefox, whatever you use. That's exactly what we talked about. And for this student, she did the right thing. She dropped out because she was being bullied, but that didn't stop her from getting an education. Because, if you want to go back to school, if you want to get a good job in the future, you got to have a diploma. So there's a list of what you can do. So if you go to delmar.edu/GED, they will help you out here. So let me pull this up for y'all so that y'all can see. Because there are second chances for everybody. And you sitting there saying, I'm not going back to school, there is a second chance. And that second chance is a GED. You can register it, you can submit your stuff, and there you go. You got to pay for it, or you get some scholarships to get your GED. I'll pay for your GED. If you didn't get your scholarships, you got to pay for it. If you remember the episode Everybody Hates Chris, it was way different. Now, in that episode, he was late a lot, over 30 times, but he was all like, Chris was like, hey, if you don't get your act straight, you're going to repeat the 10th grade. But his friend was suggesting that he would look into getting a GED. In the job market, it reports on any equivalent that gets caught, especially once they finish high school. I mean, Bill Cosby got his GED. Chris Rock got his GED. There's a lot of celebrities that got their GEDs and they turned out okay. The only reason why Chris Rock got his GED because he was being bullied. But that didn't stop him from getting his education. You can do it. If you can make it, if you say you're gonna drop out of school because you're being bullied, don't let that stop you. There's always second chances for you to succeed. GEDs are the future. So next time you think about dropping out of school, there's no quitting. Get your GED. Get your GED. You got paid for it. You gotta pay for it. Even if you're court ordered. Even if it meant your court order to get your GED. Take a look at this.
For small businesses, apps can open a world of possibilities. But now politicians are.
I went to a class and then I tried to go yesterday. They canceled it.
Let's roll, nerds. Let's roll, nerds.
Now she is. It's taking a long time because.
Oriel Dixon, come up.
And Judge, just really quick, I spoke with the prosecutor about an alternative PTI.
No, you gotta get her GED, dude.
She's working on it. She's doing the classes.
Let's see.
She sent me she sent me an email from one of
If
the.
anything, have you done for your GED?
And what I did for it,
What have you done?
I went to a class and then I tried to go yesterday. They canceled it and he also.
You went the day before court.
And I also went before.
Judge, she's been going. She's been going before even the last court date, and we
Prove it.
I can take
In this life, you are only as good as the proof that you don't have. If you don't have proof, you have nothing. Spoken word means absolutely nothing.
Judge, the instructor, I had an email from him that she sent me saying that she's been going to the classes and that class was canceled on the 4th yesterday. But she did, attempt to go to class. So she's been going, she did already take a test, and this is the one where she did fail the first test. So she's been working on it. It's not enough.
I mean, here we are. How many resets have we had? We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 resets since May. You're now in December. You have had 5 to 6 months. Show me the money. Otherwise, it's not going to go well for you today, Ms. Dixon. Show me. 5 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And Judge, this was a case where she was paying for the classes, and then she had to then enroll into the free program, which she's been doing for the last little bit.
Are you playing Candy Crush? What's going on over there?
But I'm trying to text you.
Texting who?
The instructor. Like, what am I supposed to show you? Because I don't have no proof. Like, I don't have nothing.
Tell me, what have you done?
I went to the class.
Okay. Which class did you go
The
to?
GED research.
Okay. And what, because the way I understand it, there are different modules that you do. You do science, you do language arts, you do math, you do, and whatever else it may be. You go through each section, you complete it, take a test, and then when you're done with everything, you take an overall test, and then you get a diploma.
That's not.
What have you done?
Basically explaining how everything's going to go, and I was going to finish everything else Wednesday when I was going to go, but the class was canceled.
Who is the provider that you have?
His name is.
Grab me a phone number, because I'd like to call them right now.
I have a number for you, Judge. Go on, play it up.
Mr. Jackson? Yes, my name is David Fleischer. I'm a judge here in Harris County. And I have someone that's with me in our court, and she's doing a program with you guys to try to get a GED. I'd like to confirm that's Coriel Dixon. So Wednesday and Thursday, and then did you say every other Saturday? Okay. And then, so how does it work as far as getting the diploma? Do you do different classes as far as science, math, and how do you at the end get it? Can I put you on? I have her in front of me. Can I put you on speakerphone so that she can hear this as well? Do you mind? Okay, hold on. Sir? I've got it. Okay, Mr. Jackson?
Order in the court, please.
Okay, tell me, how goes it?
It's twofold. They take an assessment. Based on that assessment, allows me to know where the student is as far as their grade level in math and in reading. Based on that, they go on 2 tracks. And so one track is like education, where we just really working on kind of some elementary reading and math skills.
Okay.
Or a GED track where they're ready for GED concepts. And so, yeah, and I never just go from there. I work with my GED students individually, and
how long does the process take, and how long can we expect it?
That's honestly kind of a loaded question, depends on where they fall. I believe Coriel scored pretty well.
Great.
Yeah, and I work with people that have gotten the GED in 3 weeks. I work with people that have gotten the GED in 3 years.
I can't do it 3 years. That's too much. But I know, I'm kidding. She's been faithfully attending, though. Yay or nay? Okay, great.
With some consistency, 3 to 4 months, maybe less.
That sounds great. I'd like to stick with it because I think at the end of the game, our goal here is that she ends with that diploma. And I think that would be a win for everybody. I'm calling you. I want to make sure that everything's going well, that she's attending, faithfully attending, and doing well. And it sounds like you're saying that this is what's been happening.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I'm just going to continue everything. Just continue to go, Miss Dixon. I mean, you got, like what he's saying, if you continue at it 2 to 3 months, you'll end up with your diploma. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. I really appreciate your help. You've been great.
No problem, Jim.
Okay, you too. Thank you, sir. Bye. Great. Good job. Just keep at it, okay? So let's set it 30 days. I want to ride this through. You're so close to being through. All you got to do is see it to the end, and then everything great will happen for you here as well, okay? All right. Good job. All right.
So, it was like, that's how it was. You know, she didn't get her GED, so she's trying to put her in jail. She didn't get her GED. But, you know, it probably wasn't the case. So, if you're core to get your GED, get your GED. And then report back to the judge. Don't wait 6-7 months. Let the judge know, let your attorney know about what's going on. If you're core to get a GED, get your GED. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. I want to talk about something else. Okay. So, accusations. This happened to me. This happened. I was witnessing something at work a few days ago, a couple days ago, and it led to where somebody was accusing someone of yelling and screaming. And you know, I tried to calm the situation down. And the other manager was all out going, you know, this, that, and the third. I'm not getting much details, but this is what she got to do. If she's angry about something, she needs to talk. If this person was angry about something, this person needs to talk to somebody and say, look, we have a problem here. I want to talk to you about something. Even if you're angry, here's a tip I have for you. If you feel like something's wrong, or somebody's mistreating you, someone's treating you differently, or someone's yelling and screaming at you, do not go out of your way to sit there and say, hey, you're yelling and screaming at me, I don't like it. Don't take it upon yourself to be in control and say, okay, I'm angry, I'm going to change the situation, I'm going to flip the switch. I'm angry, I'm going to flip the switch real quick. That's not how it works. There are bosses. Their boss has a boss over their shoulder. And believe me, I've been working at McDonald's for 6.5 years. And if I ever had a problem, I talk to somebody and go, hey, I have a problem here with this person, that person. And you know, this, that, and third. And for me training, if I have a problem with someone saying, you know, he's not doing her, if I have a problem saying, you know, he's not doing her job, he's not doing this job, I report him. And you know, people just sit there and talk with their coworkers. It's like, you know, you have to do your job. You're there because you chose, you're to work because you chose to apply for work. And you know, I get it. I get where people are coming from. You know, they apply for work and they apply for a job. They say, let me get it back. They come up to somebody and say, okay, I'm going to apply for a job because I want to help out my family. And you know, all of a sudden they just sit there and make new friends as when they're training with somebody. Whenever I train with somebody, it's like, okay, I'm your trainer. I'm going to train you through this. Here's how we're going to do it. No talking about something else. If you're not busy, this is what you need to do. You need to wipe down, you need to sweep your area, make sure you're all stocked up. That's the way it goes. I don't sit there and talk to my coworker about, hey, what you going to do this weekend, this, that, and the third. You have to find something to do. If you're working at restaurants, there's always something for you to do. Wipe down, sweep the floor, mop the floor. If you have not been trained on this, you need to be trained to do so. You need to be retrained. If I feel like this person's not doing a great job, I report to my supervisor and go, hey, you know, this person right here, he or she's not doing a good job. He or she's doing this, that, and the third. If new trainees, it's like, hey, you know, this person right here, she's not doing a good job. He's not doing a good job. He's sitting there, you know, staring off into space. I told her, hey, you know, this, that, and the third. I told her this, told her that. She won't even listen. If you have a problem with something, you address it to your supervisor immediately. Address it to your supervisor and say, this is what's going on, this is what this person's not doing, and this is how I feel about it. And you let the supervisor do his or her job. You don't go out of your way to say, hey, you're not doing your job, I'm gonna be tough on you. You know? You have to make sure you're doing your job. You're here to work. You're not here to play, goof off, talk to your coworkers, talk to your friends. You're here to work. And believe me, I chose to work here. It was either this, get a job, go to college. I chose to stay and get a job. And 6.5 years later, I got Employee of the Month last year. Last year I got Employee of the Month 2 times. Employee of the Year 1 time. And I'm still doing my job. Every time I'm doing my job. You know why I'm doing my job? Because I had to work for it. You don't earn your Employee of the Month or Employee of the Year by just sitting there doing nothing. You're doing something. So here's the thing that I advocate. There we go. This is the thing that I advocate. If you don't know where you're going, where do you go? You go nowhere. They've not taught you any job skills. You need to if you're going to get a job, you need to do it right. Doing it wrong is like the way you do it wrong is you just sit there and not do your work, not do the job correctly. So again, if you feel like you're being mistreated, you talk to your supervisor and tell them what's going on and and if they can take care of it. You know, if they talk to somebody, let them handle it. Ain't your job to be telling them, hey, you know, you're yelling and screaming at me, because it's all going to be going out in a screaming match. If you feel like, hey, you're yelling at me, you're screaming at me, and you get pissed, cool off. You know, calm down. Do your job, get it done. Just do what you're told, you know? And if I feel like someone's yelling and screaming at me, I walk off. Because I'm not going to be yelling, I'm not going to scream. That's how I'll be like, hey, you yell and scream one more time, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to walk off to the walk-in and cool off because I feel like I don't want to yell and scream at you. Just how it is. The bottom line here is this. You know, if you have a problem, you talk to somebody. They're there to help you. You're there to work, not to perform, not to play, not to goof off, not to talk to your coworkers or talk to your friends. You're there to work. That's the bottom line. And you may hear it from me or hear it from somebody else. But take it from someone who has been working. Let me tell you, I've swept the floors of the year since Lexington, cleaned the windows of YMCA, mopped the gym floors, cleaned the cafeteria, helped out the Texas State Aquarium. All of this was during this school program I was in. And believe me, I am where I am today. And if it wasn't for my teachers, I wouldn't be here with long hair. I wouldn't be where I am right now. I mean, I got in a little trouble when I was in high school. I said to myself, hey, I mean, when I was your age, I was in high school and in a school program and didn't get my diploma until after 2017. And I wasn't perfect either. I got in some trouble when I was in school. I said to myself, hey, you got yourself in there. If you're going to get yourself out, you're not going to be helped. You're not getting your mom involved. You got yourself in there. If you're going to get yourself out. It's like with UNC. It's like back with James Metz. He got in some trouble. His dad told him, hey, you got yourself in there. Figure out to get yourself out. I'm not paying your fines or doing anything. And he didn't. Not in school. Send information up here. That's how it is. That's all for this edition of Game Back Wednesday going to Thursday. I'll see you again on Friday. For all of us here at YouTube and Give Me a Break, stop bullying, speak up, concentration, not strength. Take care of yourself and each other. No jaywalking. Good night.